So we'll start seated this morning. We'll pull those shoulders back and down. Begin to lift the heart, breathe into the tummy. So really press all of that breath down. Open up that diaphragm. Deep inhales, complete exhales. And we'll just keep our arms nice and soft to our thighs or our knees. Take one more big exhale. Let those shoulders drop away from our ears. Lengthen in the neck. Inhale here, and then exhale. We'll just move our chin over toward one shoulder. And then inhale back to the center, and exhale over to the other side. Back and forth with our breath. You get some of those crackles out. If we get a big one, just wiggle those fingers to make sure that everything's okay. Good, let's do one more to each side. And then back to the center. Then we'll just lift up that right arm and reach over and touch the left ear. Just guide the head over to the right. Exhaling, relax in the shoulders, and just let the arm be heavy. There's no force. We're not pulling that head. That would just be very detrimental. But just let the weight of your arm encourage our head over, opening up the left side of our neck, the top of our shoulder. We can take this left hand and even reach down toward the floor if we would like. That feels good. And then we'll just release the head back up to the top. And then we'll lift up the left hand and reach over, touch the right side of our head. And same thing, big exhale, relax in the shoulders and the neck. Let the arm be heavy and guide our head over to the left. Take a breath or two. And if we would like, we can reach those right fingers out toward the floor for the last few breaths. Good, and then we'll just gently release the head back up to the center. Give it a little wiggle. And then let's inhale those arms nice and high. And then exhale them open to a big wide, like we want to hug. Please open up your arms. I love you this much. And then exhale, let's round and we'll give ourselves that hug. Good. Inhale, let's open. And exhale, let's give ourselves a hug. Right here, let's use our fingertips to help the shoulders come down. You can curl the fingers around, open up the shoulders behind us. Good. And then we'll gently release those arms and bring our elbows to our sides. We're just going to hold our palms up like we're, I don't know, holding a dish or something, little tray, keeping the shoulders back and down, elbows to our sides, breathing into our belly. So we don't want to arch in the back. Nice neutral spine here. And now we're just going to flex our wrists. We can point our fingers up and point them down, up, down, just moving in that little joint. One more up and one more down. Good. And now we're just going to bring those palms, point them down. Good. And then point them up. And we're just going to go little side, just moving around. So our forearms will move, but our shoulders are going to stay stationary. We just kind of move around. Good. And now let's let those arms come out wide again. Palms face down. Good. And now we're going to point our right palm down. As we reach, we're going to turn the left palm up behind us. Rotate in those shoulders and then around the other side. So one will go down, one will go up. We'll just kind of move around in those shoulders, turning the palms. See if we can get those shoulders to move all the way around, get the palms to both point up eventually as we twist. Good. One more time each side. Good. And then inhale, bring those hands up, wiggle the fingers. And then exhale, let's fold forward. And then we'll walk our fingers forward so we can roll onto our shins. We'll soften the feet behind us, and we'll just sit down onto those heels. Hands are going to be out in front of us just a little bit. Pull the shoulders back, and now we'll just do some cats and cows from here. So we'll round on the exhale, tuck the chin, round in the spine for a scared kitty cat. And then inhale, let's lift that chest, super proud chest. For a cow, exhale, we'll round. And inhale, we'll arch. Moving with our breath. At our pace. Let's do one more of each. And then back to that neutral spine. And then we'll just walk those hands further back. so that we're seated nice and tall above those heels. Good. We'll inhale, the hands can come up high. And then exhale, let's lower the right hand down to the floor. Left hand reaches up and over, little side stretch here. Inhale up. And exhale over to the other side. Left hand to the floor, right hand up and over. Really sitting down on that right hip. Inhale up. Let's do that one more time each side. Exhale over to the side. And inhale up. And exhale down to the other side. And back up to the top. From here, let's just fold forward again into our child's pose. Good. Opening up those fingers nice and wide. Let's tuck the toes underneath of our butts. We'll sit back. Just take a breath or two with those feet flexed underneath of us. Open up behind the ankles and in our arches. Stretch out those toeses. Good. And now let's walk our hands back just a tiny bit. We're going to keep those toes tucked and we're going to come up not quite into downward facing dog, but more of like a bear crawl, as if we were playing with the kiddos, right? So our shoulders are away from our wrists a little bit, but we're just kind of staying in a bit more of a tall tabletop, if you will. And now from here, we're just going to bend those knees and start hinging at the hips and at the joints, moving in the shoulders. We'll exhale, lower down, barely touch, and then inhale, lift up again, keeping those knees bent. Exhale down and inhale up. One more time and up. And now we'll stay in this little big bear position. And now let's transfer the weight into our right hand and lift up the left and see if we can keep our hips from moving around when we do this. So we're only twisting in the spine. And back down. And then the right hand can come up. Hand back down. Let's do that one more time each side. Open up and down. And the right side. And down. Good. Let's lower those knees. Come back to our child's pose. We can soften the feet if we would like. Take a couple of breaths here. A little bit of work to remind ourselves that we can totally do this. Good. And now let's spread those fingers wide. We'll tuck the toes again. We'll lift our butt up to the sky, and this time let's work our way into downward facing dog. So bending the knees, we'll pull those shoulders as far away from those wrists as we can, lengthening in the spine, lifting our tail up toward the sky, making a big slide from our hips all the way down to our fingers, and then we can begin to press those heels down in towards our mat. If they don't make it all the way down, of course, it's totally fine. We're getting to where we are at today with this. Good. And now little baby steps, pressing our whole foot down into our mat. Let's walk forward toward our hands into a forward fold. Bending the knees, let's round and roll our way up to standing. Hands come up above our head, reaching for the sky, pressing into our mats with all of our toes, with our heels. Good. Exhale. Let's bring those hands down to our sides for Tadasana or mountain pose. Inhale. Let's lift up high. And exhale, softening the knees, hinging at the hips, coming down for a forward fold. Inhale to a flat back, long legs. Exhale, we'll fold. We'll step back with our left leg for a lunge. Lunge can be on that back toe, or if we need to drop the knee, we can totally do that. Wiggle our way in to this first lunge of our practice. And then we'll step back for downward facing dog. Inhale forward into plank. Plank again can be on our toes or on our knees. Exhale, let's bring those chests forward just a little bit. So as we lower down, our elbows stay over our wrists. From here, hands are under our shoulders. We'll scoop our chests forward and then up into a baby cobra. We'll tuck our toes, press back for downward facing dog. And then we'll lift that right leg up high. We'll step forward. We'll step with the left into our forward fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, we'll fold. And inhale. Reach and rise all the way up to the sky. Good. Exhale. Hinging at the hips, bending the knees, forward folding. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, we'll fold. Hands find the mat. We'll step back with that right foot into our lunge, whichever version we would like to choose today. And we'll step back with our left foot, downward facing dog. Inhale forward. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale to our little cobra. Scooping that chest up. We'll tuck the toes. Press back, downward facing dog. Lifting that left leg. We'll step forward. We'll step with the right into our fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, we'll fold. Inhale, reach and rise. Good. Exhale, Tadasana. One breath here. Good. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, let's just fold forward. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, we'll fold, step back with our left foot. And then the right, downward facing dog. Inhale forward. Exhale, we'll lower. And now inhale, we can do our baby cobra if that's where we're at today, or we can come up to upward facing dog. Your choice. It's always your choice. Tuck those toes, lift the hips, press back for downward facing dog. Lift that right leg, and we'll step forward. And then we'll step with the left. Inhale to our half lift. Exhale, we'll fold. Inhale, reach and rise. Good. Exhale, softening the knees, folding forward. Moving with our breath. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, we fold. Taking whatever pace we need. If I'm going too fast, slow yourself down a little bit. Stepping back with that right foot for a lunge. Step back, downward facing dog. Inhale forward, moving with purpose. Exhale, we lower down. Inhale to our choice of back bend, cobra or upward facing dog. Tuck those toes, lift the hips, press back for down dog. Let's lift up that left foot, and we'll step forward into our lunge. Then we'll step with the right. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, we'll fold. Inhale, reach and rise. Exhale, hands come down for Tadasana. One breath here. Inhale, let's lift up high. One more time, sun salutation on both sides. Exhale, let's fold forward. Inhale to our flat back. Exhale, we fold. Stepping back with our left leg. And then the right. Inhale, we'll come forward. Our version of plank. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale to our choice of back bend. It can change throughout our practice. We'll tuck those toes and we'll press our hips backwards for downward facing dog. Lift up that right leg. We'll step forward and then we'll step with the left. Inhale to our flat back. Exhale, let's fold a little bit deeper. And then inhale all the way up. And exhale, slowly we'll spill forward. Inhale to our flat back. Exhale, we fold and we'll step back with that right leg. And then we'll step with the left. Downward facing dog. Inhale to our plank. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Tuck the toes. Pressing back, downward facing dog. Lift up that left leg. Stepping forward. And then the right. Inhale to our half lift. Exhale, we fold. And then slowly, let's roll our way up. And exhale, Tadasana. Good. Let's inhale up. Bring our hands together at the top. Lengthen in that spine. Little tiny back bend here. So lift the chest, hips come forward, arms will go back. We look up toward the sky. And then back up to our top. We can release those hands. Good. And now let's exhale, sit down into our chair, bringing those knees and thighs together, sitting our bums down, lengthening all along our back. Good. Inhale, coming all the way up. And exhale, let's spill forward into a fold. Looking forward, creating a nice long flat back, half lift. Exhale, we'll fold, dropping the head. And we'll step back for a lunge with our left foot. Step back with the left foot, right foot's out in front. Good. And now this left foot, we're just going to turn that heel to about a 45 degrees. So our toes are still pointing somewhat toward the front of the mat. And we'll come up for warrior one. So warrior one, we're pulling that left hip forward. Right knee is bent. Our hips are even and parallel to the front of the mat. Hands can come up high. They can come to our heart. They can come to our hips to kind of see where they're going. Think about tucking that tail, opening up in that low back. Good. And now let's lengthen in that right leg so both legs are long. We're going to bring our hands down to that right thigh, and we're going to hinge at those hips, bringing the chest forward, bringing this left hip forward, and slowly walk our way down for pyramid. Good. And now let's bend that right knee. Hands can find the floor right in front of those right toes. We're going to lift up that left leg back behind us for 3-point balance. Good. Let's lower that left leg back down. We're going to come back to warrior one. Good. And now keep pressing into this left or this right foot so that the left foot can come up, and we'll work our way into warrior three. And then it got windy. And now let's slowly come back to our warrior one. And now let's open up warrior two. So we're going to open up our legs nice and wide, hips open out to the side. Continue to bend that right knee. Arms reach out in opposite directions. And our gaze comes right past our middle right finger. Good, keeping everything in our legs the same. Let's lift up our right arm, drop our left for reverse warrior. And now let's lengthen that right leg, and we'll work into triangle. So reaching that right hand forward, past the toes, all the way out in front of us. When we can't reach anymore, we drop the arm. Keep everything in our rib cage where it's at, lengthening in that spine, pressing into both feet, and then lifting inside our thighs. Good. And now slowly we'll bend that right knee. Both hands can find the floor. We'll work our way into our lunge, and then we'll step back for downward facing dog. Pedal those legs, wiggle the tail. Good. And then looking forward, bending our knees, we'll step or hop to the top of our mat into a forward fold. Inhale to our flat back. Exhale, we'll fold. Hopefully these forward folds are starting to feel a little bit better. Softening the knees, and we'll roll our way up. Good. Hands together up here. Let's lengthen and then a little back bend. Lift the chest. Hips are forward. Arms are going back. Gazing toward the sky. And then slowly we'll come back up. Release the hands. And sitting down into our chair. Good. Inhale, lifting up. Let's fold forward from here. Inhale to our flat back. Exhale, we'll fold. Our hands will find the floor. And we'll step back with our right foot and set ourselves up for warrior one. So dropping that right heel about 45 degrees. Keeping the right or the left knee bent, lifting high, pulling that right hip forward. Hands can stay up high or to our hearts. Give our hips a little check. Again, pressing into both feet, lifting, sinking down into this little lunge, pulling the right hip forward. There's lots of stuff going on in this pose. Good. And now let's lengthen that left leg. Keep pulling the right hip forward. We'll hinge at the hips. Hands can come to the thigh. As we bring that chest forward and then down into our pyramid. Good, and now let's just bend that left leg. Hands can find the floor right in front of those toes, and we'll lift up the right behind us for 3-point balance. Good. And now let's bend that left knee again. We'll come back to our warrior one. Hands come up high. Good. And now begin to place all of that weight on our left foot so that we can slowly tip forward into warrior three. Good. And then slowly we'll come back to our warrior one. Taking our time in our transitions. And then let's open up warrior two. So now our right toes are pointed more at a 90-degree angle. We're opening up that right hip, still bending the left knee. Arms are out to the sides, reaching in opposite directions, lifting the head, dropping those shoulders. And now let's lift up that left hand, drop the right for reverse warrior. Good, lengthening that left leg. Begin to sass our hips back behind us as we reach forward. And then we'll drop the arm, lift up the right for triangle. Good. And then slowly, let's come back down to our lunge. We'll step back to our downward facing dog. And we'll pedal it out. Give ourselves a bit of a wiggle. Bend the knees and lengthen. And then begin to press those heels down in toward the mat. Pull the shoulders back. Good. Nice. Let's lift up that right leg. We'll bring the knee into our chest. And we'll slowly bring it all the way forward, right behind our right wrist. We'll set ourselves up for pigeon here. So right knee is bent, right foot is flexed, left leg is soft behind us, pulling this right hip back, left hip forward. Breathing into those hips. If we're happy here, we can stay here on our hands, or we can walk those buddies forward, come down onto our elbows, or fold all the way down to our chest. We'll be here for another 4 or 5 breaths. And then we'll slowly begin to help ourselves back up onto our hands if we are not already there. We'll tuck this left toe behind us, and we'll lift and press back to our downward facing dog. Good. And let's lift up that left leg. Reach it back behind us, lengthen, and then we'll bring the knee into our chest and slowly forward behind that left wrist for our pigeon on this side. So pulling that right hip forward, letting the left leg, the left leg is bent, right leg is soft. Hips are level and even. Breath is strong. Doggy is restless. And again, after a few breaths, if we would like, we can slowly come forward, keeping the work that we did on our hips. Stay here for 2 more breaths. Big inhale. Soften on that exhale. And then on our next inhale, we'll slowly help ourselves up. We'll tuck that right toe behind us. We'll step back for our downward facing dog and our little wiggle moment. Good. And now let's slowly bend those knees. We'll soften our feet and we'll give ourselves a little child's pose break from here. Gonna open those knees nice and wide. Arms are out in front of us. Good. And then we'll swish our feet over to one side and we'll come up on to our butts, bringing those legs around. Here, why don't you find your spot up here? Good boy. Good. We'll bend those knees and we'll rock back onto our backs. Roll up into our little ball. Good. And then let's just release our arms and our head down to our mats. They can come out to the side. Our arms can come out to the sides. Our knees are still bent. Inhale, let's press our whole spine down into our mat. And then exhale, we'll take those knees over to one side. And then we'll inhale, bring the knees up to the center. And then exhale, take them over to the other side. And now let's bring those knees back up to the center. Hold on to our legs, roll up into our egg. One more inhale here. And then exhale, Shavasana. Bringing our legs down to our mats. Our arms can come out to the sides. We close our eyes. We soften our jaw. We relax our tongue. And we allow ourselves this time to just be. And we begin to deepen our breath. We'll wiggle our fingers and our toes. Slowly bring awareness back into our body. We'll bring our knees into our chest and roll on to our side. We'll help ourselves up to seated. Bring our hands together at our hearts. And take this time to check in with ourselves and to give thanks to us for all of the gifts we gave ourselves this morning. I thank you so much for joining me today, for allowing me to help you through your practice. I hope that you feel even just a little bit better than when we started. I wish you all a very, very happy rest of your day, a great finale to your week. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.